Hi everyone, I'm Zhesi or Zhesi, and and I'm your speaker today. Forgive me, this is my first time speaking in front of a crowd this big, or any crowd, as a matter of fact. So apologies if I'm a little nervous, and I kind of have my cheat sheet by my side. So let's jump into it. So when Ivan came to me a couple weeks ago and said, hey, would you like to speak? The theme is parallel. I was immediately intrigued. In fact, a little bit excited. Before he even told me kind of the explanation and gave context on this word parallel, the first thing that came into my mind was this idea of parallel lives. So different versions of ourselves based off of the different choices we make in our daily lives. Some of you might be familiar with this concept, whether through science fiction or even shows like Rick and Morty. There's this idea of alternate realities as a result of different circumstances, situations, and decisions. And so I would like, as a raise of hands, I wanted to ask this question. How many of you feel like you are living your ideal life right now in some capacity? Okay, I see some hands, and no worries if you don't have your hand up. Because 2 years ago, if you had asked me that question, my hand would not be up, not even close. As I've been introduced, I've come close to losing around 100 pounds over the last couple of years, in the last year and a half, I would say. 2 years ago, I was pushing a little over 200 pounds. I was struggling through a lot of sadness, a lot of anxiety, self-doubt, lack of confidence. And as a result, that also took a toll on the relationship I had with my parents. So I wouldn't say I was the best version of myself. In fact, not a very good version. Did I have an ideal version of myself back then? Yes, I think us as humans, we all have this ideal version of who we want to be, and we all have this idea and this potential in our heads. But I never chose to act on it. As I continued to not choose and make poor decisions in my daily life, that dream, ideal version of myself felt further and further away until eventually I kind of accepted that version, the bad version, as my reality. So you see, we make choices constantly, every day, from the moment we open our eyes to the moment we close them. And 2 years ago, the choices that I made, the person that I was a person that had 10 alarms in the morning, but had snooze on every single one of them. I was the person who stayed within their comfort zone out of fear, or out of fear of looking stupid. I was the person who actually said no to a lot of opportunities because there was a lack of confidence and belief in myself. Looking back now, I think maybe that was an unconscious way of punishing myself for just so readily, so defeatedly accepting that version as my reality. So here comes the question. If you are already so defeatedly accepting that as your reality, what prompted you to change, Zhesi? What made you want to start your weight loss journey? Well, to be completely honest, when I first started, it actually wasn't for myself. It was for my parents, actually, and sorry, Mom, she's filming me there in the front, but they low-key bullied me into it like any Asian parent, out of love, of course. But to be honest, in the beginning, I resented it, because I resented change. I didn't think it was possible. But after I lost my first 10 pounds, something in me shifted. I realized this version was not my final version. This reality I so readily and defeatedly accepted, it was not my reality. I was capable of change. It was like a veil that lifted from my eyes. And I took that motivation, I rode that wave, and I kept going. And many of you probably know, weight loss, it's not easy. It's not an overnight transformation. The road is really rough. As I lost weight, I've also went through plateaus. I've went through rebounds. I've gained the pounds back and I've lost them again. And eventually I came to a place where I was stuck at 160 pounds. that point, I've already lost about 40 pounds. Still a pretty huge achievement, yeah, but still far from my ideal and where I wanted to be. But let me tell you, I was already so battered at that point with all the plateaus, all the regaining, all the losing it again. And there was a small voice inside my head that said, maybe this is good enough. Maybe this is all you're capable of. And honestly, I kind of let that voice win. I let that voice lull me into this false sense of complacency for at least a couple of months. It wasn't until I remember this very vividly, I was at a work event and I bought this new dress I was wearing. I put my makeup on for the first time in a long time, and I felt really pretty, and I wanted to take a selfie to commemorate and, feel good about yourself. But after I took the selfie, I remember having such a visceral reaction to it. The selfie I took did anything but make me feel good. Honestly, I think I almost cried looking at that selfie. But it woke something in me. My heart and my mind aligned. I said, no, this is not my reality. This is not who I am. I am capable of more. And in that moment, I decided I was going to embark on this journey again, not for anyone else, but for me. And that was when the real change happened. I completely locked in. Every decision counted. Every decision was important. I stopped letting feelings of fear, depression, and anxiety affect me and get in my way because I knew God got my back. I stopped turning to food and alcohol, and instead I turned to the gym. In moments of isolation, I pushed myself to find community. My self-pity became self-discipline. And eventually, instead of excuses, I found reasons that continued to fuel me to go further. For example, for the longest time, 9 p.m. meant bedtime for me. It didn't matter if I still had anything to do. It didn't matter if I wasn't tired or sleepy. Once that clock hit 9, phone away, laptop away, in bed. I'd count sheep if I had to go to bed. I rarely ate out anymore. When I did, it was fish and steamed vegetables or salad with no dressing. I stopped drinking alcohol, which was a pretty big thing for me because it used to be kind of a crutch for me in a lot of social situations due to that lack of confidence. I limited my beverages to literally just water, black coffee, and tea, nothing else. I was super gung-ho. I was like, I'm doing this. It's either this or nothing. So I pushed myself, even when I felt like I wasn't ready, to join run clubs, active clubs, social clubs, and not just to join them, but to participate, to branch out and make new and meaningful connections. A lot of what I just said happened last summer. And last summer was probably one of the most active and fulfilling and happiest summers I've ever had. Every decision I made mattered, and eventually that snowballed. It snowballed and snowballed and snowballed until I started feeling like myself again when I looked in the mirror. Today, as I stand here, when I look in the mirror, when I take a selfie, I feel no shame. I feel strong, I feel beautiful, and so darn proud of myself. I lead an active and fulfilling life that allows me to be grateful for my body every day and every moment. And I'm surrounded by amazing, like-minded, kind-hearted people and such a supportive community, all because I pushed myself outside of my comfort zone last year. So, yeah, I would say I'm living the ideal version of myself that I had at least 2 years ago. But my journey doesn't end here. Of course, we're always on the journey of self-improvement, but I can proudly say we did it. So I want to leave you with this today. Every day, every moment, in fact, I'd rather also say every decision, we're at a crossroads between two versions of ourselves. One version is from the path that is familiar, that is comfortable, the version of you that stays the same. Perhaps it's the version that continues to hit snooze on the alarm, the one that says, maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday, maybe next year, the one that accepts, good enough instead of great, maybe the one you secretly or unconsciously resent a little. The other path, it's uncomfortable. It's filled with sacrifices, self-discipline, and a lot of hard choices. But where it leads you somewhere different, somewhere better. So, which path will you choose? The one that will keep you where you are, or the one that will push you to become the better version, or even the best version of yourself? Because that version, the ideal version of you, it already exists. It's there. It's just waiting for you to choose it, to make your decision. And yeah, I'm Zhesi. Thank you. And on top of events, I also run my own active club, as Ivan said. We have a Spring into Wellness event tomorrow with Skin Society OC in Newport Beach. You can sign up via our Sweat Pals link. The sound bath is $15, but it is free entry from 2 to 4, and it includes free B12 shots, M-Sculpt demos. Pause will be there to demo some compression boots. We'll also have a recovery specialist to do any kind of like massage, cupping, and acupuncture. And yeah, it's a pretty fun event. Come meet people, come get active. It's very wellness and recovery focused. So if you guys are free, definitely check it out. Awesome, thank you.